time when you're ready. Hold on first.
Channel 1 news reporters state that many individuals, including parents, regret giving the mayor control over the public school. They regret putting the future of their children in the mayor's hand. The mayor needs to return the control to the Board of Ed. Our value, the affirmative side, our value premises states local control is more beneficial and effective than central control. Local control, which is equivalent to the Board of Ed, will focus on the needs of the people and not self. Centralized control is not really in communication with the people. Centralized control is not aware of the actual problems in the school, and this is equivalent to mayoral control. We live in a society in which we preach democracy, and democracy meaning the people's vote, the people say matter, but underneath mayoral control, it contradicts that whole idea. Many people say that the mayor is a dictator. What is a dictator? A person who tells people what to do in an autocratic way, or who determines behavior in a particular sphere. Here are the many reasons as to why the mayor should not have control. Contention number 1, majority of the parents are against mayoral control. Many parents in their districts complained that they have not seen much improvement. He has had control over a decade to prove himself and make many improvements, and not much has been done. Why are so many parents so against mayoral control if it is working so well? Indeed, the debate seemed to be divided along racial lines. Most of the senators who criticized the administration were African American, while those who spoke up in support were white. The challenge we faced this year was how do you keep the progress going while improving in the ways that improvements were needed, said Senator Daniel L. Squadron, who represents part of Lower Manhattan and Brooklyn. How do you add transparencies and parental input while maintaining that strict accountability to the mayor? ParentAdvocates.org states, yes, hold on, sorry. Under his leadership, the NYC Board of Education has removed parental participation and has become an unconstitutional mess. And this man, Mayor Bloomberg, wanted to run for president. Another reason as to why the mayor should not have control is that under the mayor's control, many issues are ignored. Many schools are neglected. Urban schools suffer under mayor control. The mayor ignores some problems and sees everything as one color instead of diverse. The mayor himself has made mistakes on not distributing equal funding and resources to certain schools. There are many schools that have updated computers and resources, while other schools do not have equal access to those things. The mayor has many other things that he focuses on, and not to mention he is 68 years old. We need a Board of Ed committee that will fully focus on the key issues and fully commit to working to make improvements in public schooling. Mayoral control can create conditions for change that can be built upon by capable and steady leaders. Accountable leaders empowered to make good decisions are a key ingredient to any successful organization. Public school closings is a major issue. The mayor says that public school closings are because our schools are failing and have low graduation rates. But the question is, are there any other alternatives? Why do these schools need to be closed? Instead of closing these schools because of dropout rates or low graduation rates, we should invest more into these schools. Many teachers will lose jobs, and many parents will become frustrated with having to find other schools for their children. The original decision to close the schools was made after the city and the teachers union failed to reach an agreement on a teacher evaluation system a decision that cost the city nearly $60 million in federal funds. On Saturday, it was reported that the mayor will be closing 24 other public schools in New York City, some in Bushwick, Long Island, Queens, and much more. There was a voting poll that people can call in and vote against the public school closing. 80% voted against it. 20% was in favor of it. However, the mayor will continue to close these schools. The Board of Ed needs to have the control back because we need a strong, the Board of Ed would be a lot more effective rather than mayoral control, which goes back to the value premises. Test scores in some sites have risen under mayoral control, but it isn't clear-cut that the governance structure has been the reason for the rise of these test scores. The mayor does not know what is going on in all these schools. He cannot be two places at once. The Board of Ed would be made up of more than one person, obviously, and a lot of guidelines to be sure that the same errors would be made again.
Another 12.
Thank you.
How much time was that?
6 minutes. You had 6 minutes.
Wow.
The cross we have right now for 3 minutes.
Who would run the Board of Education?
It would be made up of about a committee, basically, and
Committee of who?
representatives from each, I guess, borough or
So,
from schools.
Borough leaders or people that work with schools?
People that work along with the schools, district leaders, I guess.
District leaders, okay. Thank you. Again, can you please tell me the goal of education? What are you trying to reach? What are you guys, what would the Board of Education reach that the mayor has not reached yet?
The Board of Education would focus on the students and not just the mayor making decisions to make political statements. The Board of Education, yes, they did make mistakes in the past, but however, we are in 2012, and the mistakes that were made in the past will be assured that it would not be made again.
Okay, so you guys are the Board of Ed would just focus on students passing.
Students passing, graduation levels rising, and not just them passing barely, but passing and exceeding and going on to college or having some type of, career in the future. Not just passing and then the rest, they just sit around at home.
Okay, so the mayor is not making sure that the students are passing and going to college and...
It does say that the mayor, under the mayor's control, that the graduation rate is about 65%. But what happens to the other percent? Do we just forget about them? What about the No Child Left Behind thing? That defeats the whole thing about that.
Okay, you stated that the mayor has been in control for over a decade. When did he receive mayoral control?
I believe it was 2002.
Yes, it's
Yes.
2012, so it's been a decade, not over a decade.
Okay, I apologize.
Yes.
It's still more than enough time to prove
You
the
say
point.
that parental participation does not happen?
No.
Okay.
Parents does not have a say, and as I said before, there was a poll that was being taken because he's closing down 24 schools. 80% of the parents voted.
When was this?
This was Saturday, actually, on New York 1.
This Saturday?
This Saturday passed.
Okay.
And I have 24 schools.
Okay. You did brought up test scores. Do they not matter?
They do matter.
They do matter.
Yes.
Okay. So what would the Board of Education do to reach students to be at a college fund?
The Board of Education basically would represent these students. The mayor is not doing that. The Board of Education would be the voice of the students and the parents.
But what would they do to make them reach?
Okay, thank you.